Hello, this is Aaron Mean of SG Gaming Info, and welcome to my video review of EA DICE's open world action game, Mirror's Edge Catalyst. Set as a prequel to the 2008 Mirror's Edge Catalyst sees players once again control Faith, a runner who exists outside the law in the City of Glass, a city owned by an evil business conglomerate. At the start of the game, Faith is recently released from prison, but as she returns to her normal runner duties as a courier, she stumbles upon a dark secret, and those who rule the city will do anything to make sure Faith doesn't reveal their secret. Mirror's Edge Catalyst is similar to its previous iteration, with the game putting an emphasis on movement and parkour-like techniques. Also, like the previous game, Faith doesn't use weapons, as she utilizes her parkour skills to get the drop on her enemies. Now, while the emphasis on movement is greatly improved thanks to the open world nature of the game, there are problems. The most noticeable is the fact that if you don't hit the up movement, which is the L1 button, or the down movement, which is the L2 button, at the right time, you will fall and die. This issue is also compounded by the fact that some upward movements require you to either tap the L1 button or to press and hold it. And well, this fact can lead to some accidental deaths. With that said, running feels amazing because when you master it, traversing the city feels like a breeze. Moving away from the movement, let's talk about the combat. I wouldn't go as far as to say that the combat in Mirror's Edge Catalyst is bad, but it has to be one of the most annoying combat systems I've ever had to endure. The main issue with combat is the fact that Faith doesn't use a weapon, and as such, when you fight enemies that used ranged weapons, you almost have to pray that you can dodge well and get close enough to beat them senseless. Combat is also hurt by the narrow FOV, which makes it impossible to see enemies in your peripheral vision. Finally, before I finish talking about the combat, I would like to voice my displeasure at the fact that the game requires you to fight waves of enemies. It isn't fun, and for me, it was an exercise in frustration. Now let's go back to the story. As I mentioned at the top of this review, it involves Faith learning a dark secret. While the story has some high points, the story has numerous plot holes. For example, you never find out who was originally trying to steal the secret near the start of the game. The story is also highly predictable, as I could predict deaths and reveals hours before they ever occurred. Before I leave the story, I want to talk about some of the missions you need to complete. The missions range from somewhat interesting to ones that I never want to do ever again. The interesting missions are the ones that focus on using your parkour-like moves and traversing the world. The missions I never want to do again involve fighting waves of enemies until an event happens, and timed missions. Now I'll focus on timed missions, because one mission in particular annoyed me a lot. The mission had me run to 3 arrays to gain control of the transport hub. To complete the mission, I had to go to all 3 arrays in a certain amount of time. One of my failures was the timer running out just as I was to press the button on the final array. Now, what did make the story bearable was its world and characters. The City of Glass is an interesting location, as it shows an interesting divide between the rich and poor. In terms of characters, I felt each main character was well fleshed out. I knew each character's motives, and none of their actions went against what I saw were their goals and personalities. One character that I took an interest in was Icarus. Icarus only joined the Runner Cabal a year ago, and my overriding feeling was that the character would be a traitor, as he was constantly at odds with Faith. But my feeling turned out to be wrong, and Icarus was mainly wary of Faith, and as the story goes on, they become friendlier to one another. What else is there to say about the game? The game contains numerous side missions that include making a delivery and Dash. Dash involves racing against a clock in an effort to be the fastest player in the game. The game also allows you to replay missions, so if you want to find every single collectible, you can do so. Replaying missions and finding collectibles also helps you gain experience points. Experience points allows you to upgrade your movement, combat and gear abilities. Personally, I recommend improving your combat ability, as it makes fighting a bit less annoying. Before I talk about the graphics and audio, I want to mention Runner's Vision and the Mag Rope. Runner's Vision is an incredibly handy tool that helps guide you around the world. With the click of a button, the game shows you the best route to reach a destination. As for the Mag Rope, it is an extremely handy tool that helps improve your freedom of movement. Now let's talk graphics and audio. Graphically, the game uses the Frostbite 3 engine, and for the most part the engine works well, but there is noticeable pop-in and slow loading textures. In terms of audio, there was no major issue, as the majority of the dialogue heavy scenes were done in cutscenes, which consist of far more detailed environments and character models. Now, with everything said and done, here is my conclusion. While Mirror's Edge Catalyst puts its open world setup to good use in terms of movement and exploration, it unfortunately suffers from a predictable story and poor combat system. And with that said, I give Mirror's Edge Catalyst a score of 6.5 out of 10, with the game's pros being: the movement when mastered feels incredible, interesting characters, and an open world adventure. The game's cons are: combat simply isn't fun, the story is predictable, and timed puzzles and missions. Thank you for watching. Please like, favorite, and subscribe. For more gaming information, please visit sggaminginfo.com, and don't forget to like our Facebook page at facebook.com/sggaminginfo, and follow us on Twitter at sggaminginfo.